Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.
Get 15% off when you buy a set of BrakeBest Select or Import Direct brake pads and 2 rotors through April 25th at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.
It's Ram season, which means it's time to serve with Ram 1500, Ram 3500, and Ram TRX. Ram, built to serve. And now, well-qualified lessees get a low-mileage lease on the 2023 Ram 1500 Bighorn Crew Cab 4x4 for $489 a month for 36 months with $3,465 due at signing. Tax, title, license extra, no security deposit required. Call 1-877-RAM-5722 for details. Requires dealer contribution, a lease through Chrysler Capital. Extra charge for miles over 30,000. Residency restrictions apply. Take delivery by 5/31/23.
Hi, folks. Welcome to another episode of Film Study. This is Ken McKusick. We're here to continue our That One Play series today. An interesting play. It's actually a no play, but the Ravens called timeout in the 2007 regular season game, December, against the Patriots on a 4th and 1 sneak attempt where the Patriots would eventually be stopped on the play, but timeout had been called, and they replayed 4th and 1. Here to talk about it with me is Dan Vanas. Dan, how you doing?
I'm doing great, Ken. How are you?
Life is good. I'm living the dream. 2007, a bad year in a lot of ways for the Baltimore Ravens. Kind of take us through up to this game, what was going on.
Sure. This was really an interesting game from that perspective because the Ravens came into the season with high hopes. We've talked a lot about the 06 season and how it's ended. I know many podcasts about that, but 07 brought back most of the same team. Unfortunately, things unraveled fairly quickly, particularly with injuries around Steve McNair, who ultimately was replaced by Kyle Bowler, as well as a number of other players, including Todd Heap and much of our defensive backfield. So this was a listless Ravens team that came into this game at 4-7 versus a juggernaut Patriots team that had the most efficient offense anyone had ever seen.
Yes, 3.37 points per game, better by a substantial amount than even the 2019 Ravens, who are the 5th greatest offense of all time. So this team really stands alone as the greatest offense ever, led by Randy Moss's big season, of course, that year. They would go on to lose the Super Bowl to the Giants, which was their first loss, but boy, would it have been sweet that Monday night to get the win against the Patriots and stick it to them. Monday night, not Sunday night, right? Monday night?
I wasn't there physically. I'm trying to remember if it was a Sunday or Monday night game. I remember it being a night game.
Well, you're talking about we're thinking about it. Let's talk about the injuries real quickly. The Ravens secondary had some just terrible players in it. I've talked about the secondary many times being the year you don't want to repeat. But Willie Gaston, Corey Ivy played a bunch of different positions, inside and outside. Not your ideal outside corner, to say the least. Martin, Pittman, Prude, Winborn all got time that season. And that's not what you want to see. Obviously, the Ravens had some of that in 2021, so more recent fans, can understand it to a limited degree. But this was the year, a really good Ravens team was skewered by the any possibility of real success because of the lack of defensive backs.
Yeah, thankfully, I don't remember all those details, but this game certainly sticks out as indicative of it. And one of those names you brought up is going to come up later as one of the culprits here.
All right, so back and forth game, highly weather impacted with a tremendous amount of wind that night is what I really recall about it.
Yeah, and that was really visible. And again, I wasn't there personally. I'm a season ticket holder, and this is the one game that season I missed, unfortunately. Admittedly, I was on a honeymoon in Aruba, surrounded by Patriots fans, unfortunately. But I wish I had been at this game live. It would have been a lot of fun to experience until the very end.
There you go. And this particular play came after a very big back and forth struggle, and looked like a rocky fight a little bit from the Ravens' point of view, being a big underdog, consistently getting off the mat to come back in this game and retake the lead against the Pats.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I mean, I think we were a 19-point home underdog. I don't know if we've ever been that big a home dog.
Hope not.
And hope never again. But I mean, we did a couple things really well. I mean, given the weather, we ran the ball really effectively. This was a great game for Willis McGahee. And I think our pass defense was really interesting. We did a really good job against Brady, certainly helped by the wind. I think we probably double teamed Randy Moss a lot. I'm sure, Ken, your tape watching will tell you that. And I think we also mixed coverages really well. You could see there were times when Brady didn't know it was coming. And there were other times where we were pretty successful. We had back-to-back sacks late in the fourth quarter, too, where we were able to surprise them in terms of blitzing. So I just think both sides of the ball did pretty well, given the personnel. And I think, certainly Patriots Nation was shocked that a team with this pedigree at 4-7 was frankly giving their team fits, and it was really enjoyable.
Yeah, it was a terrific game from that perspective. And the Ravens' dime defense, everybody knows what a big fan I am of the dime, even with the incredibly depleted secondary. And think about who might have been on the field, including Jermaine Winborn there at the end of the game. With the dime, still 28 plays, 112 yards. So they really get 4 yards per play. Really did a great job against the Ravens with their pass defense against the Patriots.
Absolutely. And again, and I mean, I think Brady completed less than half of his passes, which is a tremendous effort by the defense. And again, certainly some help from the weather. But this was a tie game at halftime. Ravens went up in the third quarter. We ended up with a 24-17 lead going into the fourth. The Patriots had a field goal, and then after a couple punts, with about 3 minutes left, the Patriots got the ball and were threatening to come back and win the game. And this is the most excruciating series in perhaps Ravens history from my perspective. I mean, we're going to focus on one play, but there are probably 3 or 4 plays that all frankly give me brain damage to remember.
Yeah, we always want to get everybody's perspective on pain, but this wouldn't crack the top 10 for me in terms of the Ravens already being 4-7 in the year. But I understand it would have been very nice to win this football game. It would have brought back a lot of what was okay about this season.
Yeah, it wasn't so much about the importance in terms of the Ravens season. It was more just in a single game having so many things go wrong in a series was fairly unprecedented for me. So getting down to the specific play, the Patriots are driving. They get the ball to the Ravens' 30-yard line. It's 4th and 1, fourth quarter. I think it's 1:45 left. They need to convert this. If they don't convert, Ravens get the ball back. We're going to win the game. It's over. Mm-hmm. So after the 3rd and 9, the Patriots line up to sneak the ball to get that 1 yard. The Ravens, who had been in dime defense for almost this entire series, remained in dime. They did know a sneak was coming. They clearly lined up and stacked the box against it. But even though they stopped the play, it didn't quite work the way we wanted.
Yeah, so Dan and I just watched this play again to try and recall what happened. But the Ravens were not caught, I don't believe, with the wrong defense on the field. The previous play went out of bounds. There's plenty of time to make the change to a heavy defense to try and stop a 4th and 1 sneak. The problem was I don't think the Ravens knew whether the Patriots had made the first down or not. And they'd just been short by not even a yard. It was more like a foot. And so they didn't know whether the first down had been granted yet. The Patriots got to the line of scrimmage in a reasonable amount of time, but not so fast that they would have kept the Ravens from substituting. And then the Ryan still had a dime package on the field. And you don't want a dime package on the field when you're trying to stop a sneak. It's certainly not ideal. And so that's when Ryan called the very controversial timeout. And it was surprising that as Brady snuck the ball, Bart Scott took him down for a loss on that play.
Yeah, it was whistle dead, but it seemed as though the players reacted very slowly to it. I mean, they ran the play, and you saw Brady, who historically is fantastically efficient at sneaking the ball, saw how stacked the line of scrimmage was, particularly up the middle. He normally goes to the middle, goes to his left, tries to get to the side of his left tackle, and frankly takes a really hard hit from Bart Scott on the play, which I can't say I didn't enjoy, but unfortunately is all for naught.
Yeah, so that was actually Jermaine Winborn was on that field at inside linebacker on that play, being the dime back, and he was actually up crowding the line of scrimmage as one of the guys. So it's not obviously the Ravens did not have ideal size for this play, and it's kind of surprising me that they weren't able to convert. They weren't able to convert, but they weren't. The play was rerun, and then.
So, and this is where it continues to get excruciating. They line up for 4th and 1 against our heavy package. And we had this sniffed out very well. This was a handoff to their fullback. Haloti Ngata knifes in from the defensive left side, takes them down for what should have been a 2-yard loss, and again, to end the game. But their right guard was offsides, and they lost 5 yards and got to do it again. So this was an excruciating series to keep seeing us make plays and not be able to get off the field.
So for a false start makes it 4th and 6 again there. And then do you want to talk about that play a little bit really quickly, because we need to get to we kind of have already passed the big play, but on this 4th and 6 play, what happened?
Yeah, on the 4th and 6, they drop back to pass the ball, and I think
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.
I think we were certainly in coverage. I think we only rushed 3. And Brady saw a gap. He was able to scramble, and the fleet-footed Brady ran for 12 yards and a first down in this play. After, at least from the perspective of a Ravens fan, we'd already stopped him twice on the same play.
Yeah, now Samari Rolle had been called for illegal contact on the play, and that was actually enforced as a tack-on penalty. So it would have been a first down no matter what. But then the Patriots the Ravens got him to 4th down yet again on the subsequent 4 plays.
You're right. I think they ran for 5 yards on first down, 2 straight incompletes to Welker, and then here they were, 4th and 5, and they threw a ball over the middle to our later teammate Ben Watson. The ball was knocked away by the same Jermaine Winborn, who subsequently was called for defensive holding, and a first down was granted. So that was yet another time where it felt like the Patriots escaped on a 4th down play. The third straight, so to speak.
Yeah, very much so. And then the very next play, Brady to Gaffney for an 8-yard touchdown. What I recall about that play is never feeling like he had control of the football. He was kind of juggling it as he went out of bounds. Touchdown was called. And after that play, Bart Scott was flagged for consecutive unsportsmanlike flags. So two in a row after one play. We've seen some very reactive moments from Bart Scott. Clearly a very emotional player. Remember the time at Detroit when he threw the official's flag into the stands and some of the other things that have happened. But that drive, miserable in terms of being over-officiated.
So, and specifically to that, and that's a play I watched, and I wonder if in today's football that would have been a touchdown. There was definitely some movement of the ball as he was going out of bounds. I don't know that the rules were quite the same or officiated the same then as they are now. I think that would have gotten a lot more scrutiny as to whether he actually had the ball. Now, that said, there were still 50 seconds left. That was a first down play at the 8. They would have had 3 more shots, but that was questionable. And then you're right. Bart Scott went nuclear, got in the face of the ref, then subsequently picked up the flag and threw it into the stands. So, yeah, the successive 15-yarders. And I think that was also kind of indicative of a team that had kind of been lost by the coaching staff. And I don't want to say it was this game, but this was just part of an overall loss of discipline by this team. And I think we saw it in myriad games that year.
Yeah, it wasn't the first time it had shown up with Billick. Billick obviously wanted to treat his players like men, and sometimes they needed more of a tight leash. I thought Rex Ryan really brought some of that, but Rex was really a player's coach as well. As being one of those guys. And the fact that 05 and 07, the team kind of got off the rails. 05, most notably in that Detroit game where they had the Lions ran like 10 plays inside the 10-yard line on one drive, and the Ravens committed 21 or 22 penalties that game, which was close to the NFL record. You could see kind of the things unraveling for Billick. Thought he'd recovered, obviously, with that great 2006 season when the personnel was right and everything was fairly well golden in terms of what was happening. But in 2007, Bisciotti did not even plan to fire Billick, but it was really only after walking through the clubhouse, I think after the year, that he realized what had happened and felt like he had to take action.
Yeah. I do want to say that wasn't actually the end of the game. I mean, the Ravens got the ball back with 43 seconds left and had a shot. We drove the ball down the field. We had Kyle Bowler, who, if nothing else, had a tremendous downfield arm. And he threw a Hail Mary, which was caught, I believe, at the 2-yard line by Clayton. So we had a shot, but realistically, we were down by 3. There were several plays earlier in the game that probably could have fixed that 3-point deficit. But for me, that one series with multiple fourth down conversions and then a disputed touchdown, that to me was kind of that was like the hallmark of both the game, but also the season, but also of my relationship with the Patriots, who prior to this game, they weren't really a big Ravens rival. We met them only in the regular season. They were a great team, but not one I spent a lot of time worrying or thinking about. But the utter arrogance of this team and this fan base around Tom Brady and the expectations around this team, and the fact that a very poor Ravens team at the time should have beaten them. This really led to just an utter dislike of this team that I think spawned into a great rivalry over the next decade. I really felt it started with this game.
Yeah, really, that rivalry was big between about 2009 and 14 when they're meeting in the playoffs a fair amount, 4 times, all in New England. Nobody else had success playing New England there in the playoffs. The Patriots have an amazing home record at Gillette, but the Ravens were 2-2, and the 2 they won, they beat the crap out of the Patriots. I mean, really embarrassed them at home. The 2 they lost were very tight games. The 2014, twice losing 14-point leads. And in what game I'm missing? 2000 and
the AFC title game, 11.
The AFC title. Yeah.
We don't need
How
to
did I forget that? Yeah.
No, it's funny if you talk to Patriots fans. I mean, we're one of the teams they never really liked. Mean, we had a shocking level of success with them. And again, I realized it was a different team that beat them, in 09 and in 12. But I really think maybe some of the DNA and confidence against the Patriots likely came in this game. And certainly as a fan, my utter disgust for this team really started with this game. So that was from a personal perspective. But like you said, from a team perspective, I think, number one, it signified we had a lot of talent still on this team. I mean, the defense on this team, the backbone was fantastic. I mean, this was still Ray Lewis, Ed Reed, Haloti Ngata, Terrell Suggs, Chris McAllister. This was a great defense. It just needed a consistent quarterback, and apparently it needed a new coach. And look, the next year was a huge turnaround. So I think that was the other thing this game kind of exposed is what the, kind of what the foundation of this team really was.
Yeah, definitely a team that stayed healthy, would have been better even if they had that lousy offense. But the one thing about this play that I'm not sure it impacted the decision or not, but a lot of people wanted Rex Ryan to be the head coach after Billick. In fact, one of the things that incented Bisciotti to make the change was hearing players like Ray Lewis saying Rex Ryan was really the head coach of that team. Rex Ryan wasn't chosen to be the head coach of that team in 2008. It ended up being a very good choice for the Ravens organization. And Rex Ryan has had coaching success other places, but John Harbaugh, you can't argue with his success here. And the people who do, I don't have any time for them. You really take some time, really study, look what happened to this Ravens team immediately as soon as he got. They mark time in the media guide from 2 different points. Started 2000 and started the Harbaugh era. And it's if you look at the Steelers, they mark everything from the Immaculate Reception. There is no Steelers history before the Immaculate Reception because it's 40 years of ignominy and just horrible play. But the Immaculate Reception starts all the time. Well, for the Ravens, it's either that 2000 season or 2008. But anyway, I am not completely sure that Ryan's inability to get the right defense on the field and the subsequent timeout that was required wasn't a reason why he was not chosen as a head coach in 2008. Part of it.
Yeah, it's hard to know exactly what goes into Steve Bisciotti's head, but I have to think this was part of the overall Rex Ryan body of work.
All right, Dan, just a pleasure to talk about this game with you. Obviously, not a great memory for all Ravens fans, but a memory we ought to keep as sharp as possible. And I think going through this really cleaned up a lot of my memory about the game, and I appreciate you doing it with me. I know you don't have a Twitter account. We have promised that you'll try and get a Twitter account that you'll use for football and try and respond to people if they have questions they want to ask about the game to you. But anyway, obviously very detailed knowledge of this. Really appreciate you coming on and taking time to research it so well.
You got it. And Ken, thanks for having me. Look, longtime listener, first time caller. So this is a good intro.
All right. Really appreciate it, Dan. Other folks out there who'd like to be on a That One Play episode, please give me a DM and Twitter. They're always open. Love to hear from you. And like Dan, let's find some new people, some new voices out there who want to tell their story about one particular game. And it can be your perspective on that play. That's what I really want to hear. Dan, thanks again for coming on.
You got it. Thanks, Ken.
And we'll talk to you next time on Film Study.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along. Which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And right now, you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. At ZipRecruiter.com/post. That's ZipRecruiter.com/post. ZipRecruiter.com/post.